Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Crown Me Now podcast with your host, Sekou Clark. And today I have two amazing guests for you. Again, we have celebrity trainer, gym owner, Bruce Berryman.
Thank you.
And we have amazing human being, Mona Howe. She is a journalist, producer, and also a business owner. So, thank you for coming. Thank you for finally making it happen through the hurricane, through everything. We finally made it happen.
Finally, we're
Thanks
here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
The last time I saw Bruce outside of a business setting was when Bruce was kicking my ass in the gym.
That's what he does best.
Yes.
That's his zone where he kicks both of our booties.
And the thing I like about Bruce is he's not only a trainer. Bruce is mental coach, health coach, internal coach. I mean, he knows how to squeeze every ounce of growth and motivation out of you while you're working out. And then Mona took me under her wing when I was a baby attorney and actually taught me how to speak on camera, how to manage my facial expressions, how to speak. Like
You were natural. You just needed a little tweaking. That's all.
Polishing.
You just polishing exactly. Yeah. You just needed to be closer to the teleprompter.
All right, great. So, Mona, tell us what you have cooking, because I mean, Mona is a serial entrepreneur. Like Mona always has a whole bunch of projects going on.
Yes.
You can never catch her. The only time you can probably catch her is if she's like in a coffee shop brainstorming and you just walk by and see
Or
her.
at the gym with Bruce.
Or at the gym with Bruce.
That's
So
right.
true. So
Yeah.
So what do you have going on now?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I always have 5 things going on. But, that's how entrepreneurs thrive. I don't know an entrepreneur who just has one project they're working on.
Correct.
There's no such thing. But, at heart, I'm always going to be a producer. I'm always going to be in production. I'm always going to be in content creation. I think storytelling is everywhere. No matter what you do, you're always telling a story. Recently, I've been dabbling a lot in Web3 because we're just entering this digital, realm where we kind of all have to transition from Web 2 to Web 3.
Yes.
So I'm learning. I started.
What's Web3, by the way?
Oh my gosh, you want to start that conversation right now?
Just dive right in.
Jump right in.
I'm like,
right?
just for the viewers, I mean, what's Web3?
The best way to describe it is the best way Chris Dixon, who is the man who basically built the internet. His partner was one of the founders of Netscape Navigator, and I got the pleasure of meeting him and seeing him at an event where he described Web3 the best way. So I'm just going to translate what he said. He said if Web 1 was read, right, because it was just a search engine, right? Web 2 was read, write, because then we had the introduction of social media, right? Web 3 is read, write, own. So this ownership of content, right, and is what's going to be introduced in Web3.
Okay.
Where and that's where digital currencies are going to come in, because ownership, as long as you create quality content, you're going to be able to own that content and hopefully tokenize the content. So people are going to have to buy your token or buy your NFTs to be able to view your content, right? So ownership is really the premise of Web3 in a nutshell. But we can have a whole show about that. I'll come back for that.
I can tell.
Yeah.
All right, so Web3. Any other projects?
Notable
projects?
I'm still working on the one-way documentary. We are still, documentaries are not easy to make. They're very time-consuming. It's another project I'm working on, a community-driven documentary about a group of guys here in Paramore, which is our hood in Orlando. Group of guys that have been labeled a gang
Yeah.
by OPD, and we've had a pleasure of hanging out with them and getting to know them in the past 4 years. And the question is, are they a gang or are they not a gang? And through their stories, which they all have, and incredible stories, we're addressing a lot of social issues for urban cultures and urban communities. And I just, I had to bring a really amazing team together of my former professors from UCF. We're all working together in the city of Orlando and Orlando City Soccer, UCF. So it's very much a community-driven story that we're building together.
It's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, I really, really can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
No, I'll have to get your autograph after it comes out on Netflix.
Hey, right after me, I gotta have one.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Bruce, what do you have going on right now?
You know what, man? I am crazy busy with our gym. It's going really well. Really expanding. Just really just giving it a lot to our clients right now at this time, and just kind of in the forefront, really to build and expand. So we're looking to build and expand to new adventures and also new areas of Orlando. So we're working on those. It's huge. It's taking all my time right now.
I bet. Bruce and I first met.
Wow. Yes.
I mean, it feels like 5 years ago, but it's like 15.
At least 15 years ago.
At least 15 years ago, when I was a trainer and Bruce was a trainer
both just starting out.
just starting out, fresh, hungry.
Wait, you were both trainers together?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're in the same team training together.
We were in the same gym. We kind of got hired around the same time, and just freshly, I was a little older than he was, but he was, but generally just coming out of college, and training in the same facility for what was about a couple of years, 2-3 years.
2-3 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And
That's the first met.
and I always tell this story about Bruce. So at the time when I was training, I was also still competing professionally.
Yeah.
And one day I decided to cross train with Bruce because Bruce was playing baseball a lot. So we decided to go to a field and just do some repeat sprints. So in my mind going into it, I'm like, all right, some easy sprints, Bruce is going to be behind me. That's the workout. So we did the first one and Bruce is right there. So I'm like, all right, so I have to for real get seriously now. I did the second one, put some more oomph into it. Bruce is there. By the third one, I'm almost going all out trying to beat Bruce. I'm like, yo, Bruce has some hidden talents.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
okay, that was your side of it. So my side of the story.
Yeah.
There's
is-
always two sides.
Yeah, so it's like I have this crazy Olympic athlete that I'm about to run against, and there's no one else around except he and I. But it's about Imano right now. So I was like, I'm gonna give it everything I got. So every single sprint, I'm sprinting as hard as I can. You said it was easy for you, but I'm going as hard as I can just to stay up. But no, it was definitely a good time for sure.
Nice.
I can imagine what that was. That scene looked like.
Yeah.
You two competing.
Yeah.
And then here we are 15 plus years later. Success. As you sit here today, I'd say, both of you are, in that top percentage in your fields.
Thank
right?
you.
Mona, tell me, what would you say is the highlight thus far of your career?
Wow, that's such a big question. What is the highlight of my career? I don't know if I would call it a highlight because it's, I'm 42, and I would say at 42, I have finally gotten to a point in my life that I think I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I need to do. And I'm very clear. And I think your 20s, you're just, adventurous, and you're risk taking. Not that you're not risk taking later on, but you don't think about things. You just do them because they feel good and they sound good, right?
Exactly.
Then your 30s, and you start things start to make sense a little bit. You're like, okay, if there's consequences, if I do this way, this is going to happen. And you pursue, you kind of know, but you're not clear. But I think your 40s, you finally arrive. And I think that's kind of where I am. So I would say right now, this is the highlight right here where I feel like I'm at my peak,
Yeah.
where things are very, very clear to me. I know exactly what God has put in my heart to do. My purpose is very clear to me. And I know that there's going to be a long journey ahead. It's still a long journey ahead. So maybe we'll have this conversation in 10 years and I will give you the
Yeah.
peak and the highlight.
Yeah.
But I think I am there right
Yeah.
now and I'm experiencing it and I'm really excited. I'm excited to be where I am today.
I love it. You said something very profound, which a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people underestimate is having clarity and knowing who you are. Because all of the greats say that everything starts with a dream, but a dream really encompasses a vision. If you can't see where you're going or have the confidence to know who you are you really fulfilling your purpose and being able to really maximize your success? And I feel like so many people, they don't invest in trying to get to know who they are. They don't invest in trying to figure out their purpose or even a vision. So they spend the 20s, the 30s just spinning and never really maximizing their talents or their toolkits. you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And Bruce, what do you think about, I know a lot of times the people who come before you, they're searching for a change. They have a vision of how they want to look physically, but I'm sure once you start peeling back the layers, you realize that, there's some other things that need to be dealt with, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You asked Mona the question about highlights, and I started to kind of think about some of the highlights of my career and things of that nature, and then when I really think about it, highlights are seeing lives changed. Because not only just physically, but also mentally and spiritually as well.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, to really, I start with observation. You know, so as soon as a person walks into my gym, someone I've never seen before, whatever the case may be, I begin observing. Just mannerisms, how the way they talk. Obviously the physical, but also just their expressions, how they do everything. Because of the fact that I'm trying to get a sense of where they are in their life.
Yeah.
Because when you speak about just your physical health, it's not only just your physical health.
Yeah.
And so my approach is we really focus on mind, body, and spirit. You know, and so we really attack all three of those areas and better each person in those areas is really what the focus of what we try to do there, for sure.
Wow. And this should resonate. If they really knew the background of the people that you work with, it would resonate with so many entrepreneurs, because a lot of your clientele are high net worth individuals, men and women who are serial entrepreneurs, Fortune 500,
Absolutely.
Men's Magazine, golf players, like the elite of the elite. And still, it's almost like the same process for you with that type of person.
It's very similar, but also different in the same sense. And one of the things we kind of boil it down is we call it staying in the moment. And as I continue to with that process, when you're talking about some of the top athletes in the world, and like you said, some of the top CEOs in the world, they all have the ability to stay in the moment. But the idea is you don't get the results you're looking for unless you can stay in the moment long enough. That's the key. You have to stay in the moment long enough. Meaning that let's just take, if you want to change the way you eat, and so you wake up, you're like gung ho. Monday, I'm changing the way I eat. So you make good choices on Monday, and you change the way you eat Monday. Tuesday comes around, you're like, I don't know. By Thursday, we're at Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what happened in that time period from Monday to Thursday? So when we talk about staying in the moment, on Monday, we're making good choices.
Yeah.
But it's hard because we get distracted from decisions we've made in the past that were not directed towards the goals we wanted. Wow. So think back, like last week, you have the memory of the cake or whatever the case may be, and you lean towards those things.
Yeah.
But if we still continue to stay in the moment on Monday, stay in the moment Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then that's one of the ways that we'll be able to really, really get to our goals and see the results. So what we try to do is really just move all the distractions out of the way, at first. And then once a person starts to see how they're getting results and they see it for themselves, then their brain takes over and the light bulb goes off and it's like, man, I can do this.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways we're able to really get over that hurdle.
And it's interesting what Bruce is explaining, because when I went and saw Bruce, I trained with Bruce for 4 years, and the concepts that he taught me in the gym, what he's talking about right now is the exact same concept that you need to know as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because it's the same exact thing that translate in everything that you do. Staying in the moment is the same thing as consistency, right? It's the same thing as discipline. Is the same thing as focus.
Yeah.
And in anything you want to do. And I think that's one of the things that entrepreneurs perhaps don't understand is, and Bruce really teaches well, as process, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to let him explain process. But in that process, it's repetition, right, of doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And a lot of people give up because it's boring, because it's mundane, because it's repetitive, right? But it's through that success comes through.
Absolutely. That's heavy. That's heavy. And I mean, we can just concise that to discipline.
Right.
Discipline and staying in the moment, staying in that zone. And I think this era today, so many people go after that instant gratification, right? They try for something, they invest a little bit, they want this big result, they don't see it right away, then they're out. Whereas, I mean, all the heavy hitters, the top 5% of people, it's that consistency, it's that habit of success that, I mean, you have to train like a muscle. And people don't invest in the time and the resources to train that muscle of success. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, and just personally speaking too, one of the ways what I guess you could say stumble up on it too as well, because of the fact that you learn when you get knocked down so many times.
Yeah. Yes.
So when you try something and doesn't work, and you try something else and it doesn't work. So just understand that if you see someone at the top, understand that they've got knocked down plenty of times.
Exactly.
Plenty of times, and that's the same thing. So every time you just always have to get up and continue. So and that's really, really that process of getting up every single time. So what I found is you have to come to a place where what you're getting up for has to be worth it. It's got to be valuable to you.
Yeah.
It's got to be right at your heart. It can't be something that's
For somebody else.
for someone else. It's got to be so valuable and important for you to help to get you up at 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning, or 5 in the morning, whatever the case may be. If not, you'll find a way to fall out of it.
To fall off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people see that, I mean, it's crazy. Some people see discipline as an obstacle.
Right.
Right. But with every success, there are several obstacles that you have to overcome. And
There's
you're
a
gonna
lot
have to
of
pull on
obstacles.
something. Yeah, you're gonna have to pull on
Every
something to
day
keep on
is an
going.
obstacle.
Right?
Yes.
Tell me your most memorable obstacle or the obstacle that was your biggest teacher.
The obstacle is every day. The obstacle is your mind.
Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest obstacle for me. It's waking up and having the right mindset. Because if you don't wake up with the right mindset,
so true.
Everything is going to be a struggle. Everything is going to be an obstacle. And it takes a lot to be in the right mindset. I mean, down to what you eat,
Yeah.
down to how many drinks you have, down to what time do you go to sleep, down to was your food greasy? Because if it was, you're not going to wake up with a clear head, right? So, Bruce has this program that, him and I actually did it together, where we just like cleaned our entire body from like our brain cells down to our toes.
Wow.
Based on what we were eating, what we were, we cleaned our diet on a different level. But the first thing that was very noticeable was what happened to our brain, right? Because when your brain is where it should be, when your brain is so smart. I mean,
Yeah.
on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
If you give your brain the fuel that it needs, you will be shocked how your life will change.
Crazy. Yeah.
We're addicted to so much, so many things that are slowing us down, down to the sugar. That's
Down to the sugar.
yeah,
Exactly.
that
yeah.
we're eating. I mean, it slows you down. Cut out sugar and see how clear you're gonna be.
Yeah.
And then there won't be an obstacle because your mind is so clear, is so clean. People ask me all the time. They're like, "How do you wake up at 4 a.m.?" I'm like, it's easy. You want to wake up at 4 a.m.? What time is the last meal that you had? 9 o'clock? Nope. It needs to be like 6:30, right? Stop eating at 6:30.
Yeah.
Don't have alcohol. Go to bed at 9 the latest, because I'm sure Bruce can explain at 10 o'clock you get a second rush, right?
Yeah.
And that's when usually people start eating again.
True.
So go to bed between 9 and 9:30. Stop eating at 6:30. I promise you, your eyes are going to open without an alarm clock at 5 o'clock.
Yeah. That's true.
And so if you don't want to face obstacles, we create the obstacles.
Yeah.
It doesn't just fall from the
Exactly.
sky, right?
Exactly.
And we created it's how we look at things, how we approach things, and how we approach things. It has a lot to do with what we're eating, what we're doing. Are we exercising? Are we just, your body has to be right.
Yeah, like before you pursue any type of goal or make any type of investment,
Right.
to piggyback off of what you said, you have to win the battle in your mind. If you lose that battle in your mind, there's no possible way that you're going to win the battle in the world. I mean, you may win the war, but you won't win the overall battle. So, Bruce, in terms of obstacle for you,
I would say the most memorable, I would say for me, actually would be the pandemic.
yeah?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can see how that would affect you.
Yeah, so pandemic hits, and it's like you what you're seeing is gyms are shut down. So my gym shut down. So so this is my livelihood. So what am I going to do now? So for me, one of the solutions I had, the place where I was living actually had a rooftop.
Training us on the roof.
I actually saw you guys. I saw you guys from my office training on the
Oh,
rooftop.
and let me add,
Downtown
not just the
Orlando.
roof, but we were zooming in all of us, like a bunch of us from our bedrooms with Bruce, the trainer, on Zoom. And we're all
my
in our
God,
bedrooms or living rooms with weights.
Yeah. And I mean, to just interject, like a lot of people saw the pandemic as this big obstacle,
Right.
or time to shut down.
Right.
It's done, but the top 5% found a way,
Correct.
and they came out bigger, better,
Right.
stronger,
Yeah.
and richer. I mean, you came out of the pandemic.
So yeah, so
With a gym.
so the thing was that it was that happened on that side,
Yeah.
but the obstacle created the solution as well, because of the fact that it gave me time to actually slow down. So everybody was in their own places. Had a lot of time on your hands. So instead of Netflixing all the time, I was actually I was building my faith at that time.
Wow.
Not only that, but I was doing more reading and more studying and getting more knowledge, when I didn't have as many clients to train. So just really use that downtime to really prepare for what's coming now.
Yeah.
And so it taught me so many valuable lessons and how to be focused and how to value the morning and things of that nature that really wasn't able to really get before then. But now from that situation, moving forward, it has been tremendous for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Again, mindset. You know, how does your mind deal with what it's in front of?
Yeah.
So you can make it an obstacle or you can make it an opportunity.
True. And what a lot of people don't realize is that even obstacles, it still boils down to your choices. And
Right.
I remember Grant Cardone said, if you look back at every single choice that you've made or every obstacle or bad position that you've been in, it leads back to a choice that you made, some decision that you've made. I mean, of course, some things like at birth you can't avoid, but anything professionally in your life, if you really sit down, it cycles back to some choice or decision that you made, and people fail to take ownership of that and still push forward.
And you have to, because I have this saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And even, you know, I've gone through a divorce, and when I look back, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Because even my divorce taught me so much,
Yeah.
you know, that now I'm going to use in my future relationships. So I could say my divorce was an obstacle, but it really wasn't. At the time, maybe, if you asked me while I was in the middle of it, yes, I would say.
That's kind of when we met
Yes.
and we started training.
Right after my divorce is when I went to Bruce, and
that
he
process.
gave me a nice kick in the butt.
Yeah.
And I mean, he changed my mindset. Everything that I went into that gym, not for physical change. I went in for a physical change, but I came out with a complete mental, just ability to see things differently. Because sometimes we get so caught in what we're in, and we can't see outside of the box. But now that I'm all out of it and I look back, I'm like, wow, that was tough, but I wouldn't change a thing.
Wow.
I learned a lot through that
So,
process.
would you say that going through that divorce, no, you are the best version of yourself?
Absolutely. I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't gone through that divorce.
Wow. And I mean, I really love that for a lot of my viewers and listeners, because some of my clients, I meet them like going through a divorce or after a divorce, and they really feel helpless. They no longer want to start a business. They feel so defined by the current situation or by the previous relationship that they completely disregard what the future would look like and who their new selves would be. So to hear you say that and see the flower that you are today is just it's dope.
Thank you. No, I mean, divorce is probably one of the worst things that anyone can go through. I
Yeah.
never ever want to experience that again.
Wow.
It's because you live, you know, your life with your partner, and when you're separated for a moment, you're like, who am I? You don't know who you are, because all of the 7 years that I was with my partner, I knew who I was based on who I was with him.
Yeah.
And now he's not here. You are going to have to find yourself again, and you have to build yourself again, and you have to stand on your feet again. And I remember my attorney, who ended up being like a father figure to me, sat me down right after my divorce and said, do you know why athletes sit on the bench? And I just, I'm like, no. What do you mean?
Yeah.
He's like, athletes sit on the bench to catch their breath and to observe the game. I want you to sit on the bench for a year and just observe the game. Don't make any commitments. Don't buy a house. Don't get in a relationship, and just observe the game. The best advice he ever gave me was
That's
that.
heavy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Observing the game. A year turned into 3.
Yeah.
I'm still observing the game.
Wow.
But that is so essential, because I want to say, I'm just going to make a number up, but I feel like 90% of people, they jump right back into another one,
Yeah.
another relationship, because people don't want to be alone.
That's
They
true.
can't be alone.
That's true.
And it's so, so, so important to be alone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously too, it's kind of like one of the things that you did was that you got into the gym, and you started basically working on yourself,
Yes.
your physical as well as your mental state, and just thinking about you going back to some of the times when we train, right? and I would put something. Let's just want to jumping. You know, Mona had this. She had the goal of wanting to jump. What was it? 40 inch,
30 inch.
One of those 30-inch boxes that we have in the gym. And so obviously we started out small, you know, and we built up to that, you know. And so it was a challenge that was before her. So each week we would do something that will enhance her performance in jumping, you know. So we would explain how to jump and really, really go through those things. You know, and then what we would do is kind of relate it back to life a little bit, you know, and things of that nature. So that was one of the ways that really, really, you know, we try to get outside of just the physical work, you know, and tap into the mental part of the brain. And there's certain words that you can't use when you're training with me.
Yes.
You know, I can't just not going to happen.
Don't say I can't in
know?
front of Bruce.
It's
No.
not going to happen, you know. So that tone, so your tone, even though you're working out, is so important because of the fact that your psyche is hearing yourself, whether you know it or not. So your attitude of what you're doing is so huge and so important, you know. And so we focus on that in our training as well. So it's not necessarily just, you know, smash a lot of weights. It's you know, you really have to be engaged mentally as well.
Yeah, the best thing you can do for yourself is to heal yourself and rebuild yourself. And that is a process. And he taught me process.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a process was, honestly. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, even in building your business, it's a process.
Yes.
And process requires patience. So much
Yes.
patience.
So much patience.
So
And people
much
tend to rush the process.
Yes.
And
Because
then
we
they're
want it
unhappy with
now.
the result. Yeah.
You can't
It's
rush the
gratification.
process.
No. So, life as an entrepreneur. You know, you said entrepreneurs. A key trait is the process, right? But what for you, as you said, Bruce? Tell me what life as an entrepreneur for you is like. Or actually, you know what? Better yet, give me the top 3 things for you as an entrepreneur. That you can say has led to your success.
Yeah, so number one, not in any order, so to say, but I would say winning the morning
Ooh.
is
Whoa, that's huge.
So
Yeah.
when I say that, I mean in the morning, you need to have your. I say this all the time. Be extraordinary in your ordinary.
Wow.
Things you do on an ordinary basis, be extraordinary in those things. So in the morning time, your morning routine needs to be so tight. It doesn't need to be something that you may do or you may not do. Everything in the morning needs to be something that is going to enhance your day.
Yeah.
So what it looks like for me, you know, I'm normally up around 3:34.
3:30.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's what he eats. I'm telling you. I know what he eats.
Yeah. Like I said, that the important thing, the reason why I get up is that, you know, I read, study, pray during that time period because of the fact that it's important for me to be able to, I give all day long, you know, so I'm giving to all my clients all day long. And if I have nothing inside of me to give, my clients are going to feel it and they're going to know it. And I'm not going to be able to give anything to them. So I would say number one thing would definitely be win the morning.
Win
for
in
sure.
the morning.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good one.
Another one, I would say forgive yourself. You only have one life. You know, you forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up. You know, so if you try something and it necessarily doesn't work out, you can always hit the restart button any day. You know, so forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself is so important. Especially, I teach that all the time to a lot of my clients when, you know, especially when they start out on eating differently than what they've been doing, right? Then all of a sudden something comes and they retreat back. Well, do you just throw your hands up and never try again? No.
Yeah.
You get back on it. You start again. So you restart again. You can always hit the restart button as many times as you need. Whether it's every single day or once a week, once every month, always hit the restart button. You know, so that would be number 2, is really forgiving yourself. And then, like you talked about, the process. So with that process is, you know, it starts with a vision. You definitely have to have a vision, and then you follow through.
Yeah.
You know,
Execute.
Execute. You have to execute.
Yeah.
You know, and so those would definitely be the three I would say, for
Wow,
sure.
I love them. Execute. I had a meeting today with one of my operations managers, and for this new business that we're starting, and we said, hey, there's another colleague of mine who they mentioned the same type of business, and I said to her, the difference between us is that we're actually executing. Everybody can have a dream, put it down on paper, talk about it, but it's the very few people that really know how to execute it and do what they say they're going to do. People really underestimate actually showing up and doing what you say you're going to do. I mean, a famous quote is like, the biggest dreams out there, they're found in the cemetery. They die with people without ever doing them. Denzel Washington, and it's, if you think about it, it's true. I mean,
Absolutely.
There's so many ideas and dreams that people let die with them because they don't execute. Yeah. Mona, what about you? Top 3 entrepreneur success. You.
First and foremost, for me is God, because if you don't know your purpose, that your God-given purpose, and you think you know what you need to be doing here on earth, you're just wasting time and energy.
Yeah.
Because first and foremost, you have to understand what you're here to do. And we all are here to do something.
Yes.
Whether your job is to be a mother and raise a family, or your job is to run this country, or be a teacher, or the seed is in your heart. And your job is to tap into that and find your purpose first and foremost. The moment you find your purpose, and I say that from someone that for a very long time, I called myself jack of all trades, but a master of none, because I did everything. I was a private pilot, and then I was a paramedic, and then I was
I didn't know
a
that,
bartender,
Mona. You were
and
a
then I
private
was.
pilot?
Yeah, I went to Embry-Riddle for a year. I got my private license, and I was like, what am I doing here?
I did not know that.
I was in front of an engine. I was in an engine class with like all guys, and I had this like click in my brain. I'm like, what am I doing here? I need to get out of here. But everything that you do will lead you to this moment, because now that I look back, I mean, I was a journalist for local news, and when I was a journalist, I was like, oh my God, I understand why I was a paramedic, because my ability to triage worked really well in news, right? Yeah. So everything that you do, it really leads to where you are today. And it wasn't until, honestly, my 40s that I finally realized what my God-given purpose is. And the moment you find your purpose, and I don't care who you are, it's there. Your job is to tap into it, right? And then when you do, then it's on. Now you're on, right? Now you have to do it, because the moment you know it, now you have a responsibility on your shoulders, because now you have to deliver, and he wants you to deliver. And so a lot of people say as an entrepreneur, you have to have balance. And I say, as a new entrepreneur, that's BS. There is no balance.
There's no such thing.
When you start, you have to eat it, breathe it, talk it, sleep it. You have to sacrifice. You have to compromise. There's a lot that you have to do. And you have to be willing to say no, and you have to go focus. It takes a lot of discipline. I think my success comes from, and I'm just, in the past year or so, I finally got the recipe. It's my focus, it's my discipline, it's my ability to sacrifice, and just say my time is very valuable now. I'm working on 4 projects, and there's only so many hours, so I have to be really picky on who and where I give my hours to.
Yeah.
And because we only have very limited time. I'm 42, is halfway there.
Exactly.
Right? And everything, and process is it takes time.
Yeah.
A relationship takes 5 years just to get established. A business takes 5 years just to get it going.
Yeah.
Right? If you're lucky.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now, you see what I mean? So you really are on a time crunch. So get it together, focus, discipline. You know what you have to do.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Exactly. exactly.
Yeah.
Is there any decision that any of you made that you wish you could take back?
Take back decisions. Um, I don't know if you would say take back, because of the fact that that would mean that I would be looking backwards and,
Yeah.
and moving backwards, which that's not my mentality. That's not what I do. Have I learned from past mistakes? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do I always observe past mistakes, things of that nature? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But far as feeling like no, I don't necessarily feel like that. But I definitely continue to move forward and learn from. I learn every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely not perfect, so I
Yeah.
make mistakes all the time.
Absolutely.
So continue to learn, and I think in that process you have to make sure you cut out space or cut out time to observe yourself, to observe what your surroundings and what's going on, and not necessarily just keep going. You have to deliberately, and that's what I do. And that's why the mornings I do those types of things in the morning.
Mornings, yeah.
So that those reflection times, and I think that's huge and that's important. So you can learn from those and continue to go forward for sure.
Yeah. When you said own in the morning earlier, it really resonated with me because for me, like my best days where I'm like on fire, like everything is clicking.
Right.
Is when the morning is methodical.
Yes.
Wake up, meditate, gratitude,
Yes.
pray,
Yeah.
words of affirmation, workout.
Yep.
There's no emails, there's no social media, there's no answer on the phone. Once I hit those steps, everything is like on fire. And people really underestimate, and I say that a lot, the value of
The morning.
owning the morning.
You gotta own the morning.
Or having some type of habit. I mean,
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, all of them, they say they
100%.
have their morning routine down.
Yeah. And then that's what I like. I
That's
said
so
again
important.
with the people I work with. That's what we do. That's the one of the consistent things that happens throughout is the mornings. You champion the morning.
Yeah.
So no matter what time you have to get up or whatever case may be, you've got to make that sacrifice. You got to you have to set
to.
it, and you got to be consistent with it. And when you do, whatever you're working on, whatever business you're in, family, whatever case may be, is going to get better.
Yes.
Hands down.
Yeah.
It's going to get better.
Yeah.
Every single time. 100% of the time. Money back guaranteed.
It's true. Every successful person you ask what time they wake up, they'll tell you between 3 and 5.
Yeah. I mean, I don't wake up. Sometimes when I'm on it, I wake up at 5 when I'm on it. But no, that morning routine. Mona, what about you? Anything that you wish you could take back?
I wouldn't take anything back. But, a lot of times I ask, I'm like, why am I always... I always felt like I had a late start in everything. When I went to broadcasting school, I was the oldest student in my class. So I always had this question that I asked, myself, like, why am I always, I feel like I'm late to the party, right? But then in my 40s, I realized, I was like, no, it's right now where I am that I can handle the things that I'm given, right? Had I gotten what I have today 5 years ago, I wouldn't have handled it the same way today. So I think for me, I don't have any regrets. There's nothing that I take back. It's just, they're all experiences that you need. I mean, you have to fall. How else are you going to learn? If you don't go through divorce, how else you're going to learn what is the successful relationship,
Exactly.
And if you're not going to fail in that business, how else are you going to find out what to do in your next business? Relationships, you have to fall. There's a reason. I blame everything on Eve. If she didn't eat the apple, life would be much easier on Earth.
On this.
but there's gonna be suffering, okay? Because it's not gonna be easy. If it was easy, then guess what? Everybody would be doing it. Everybody would be a successful multi-billionaire entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be that way. We have to fall. We have to learn. We have to sometimes learn things the hard way, and that's
hard way.
okay.
And it's crazy. Like, I always get asked that question, like, what would you take back if there's any decision I made that I'd take back? And I think back to moments where in that time I'm like, man, I wish I didn't do that. But a month later, I'm like, that's why that had to happen. And I had to learn from that.
Right.
And I had to learn and prepare
Right.
to be able to accept this new challenge or accept this new opportunity. And if I didn't make that quote unquote bad decision, I would not have been able to move forward.
Right.
And people tend to have these low moments, or they take a loss, or they fail at something, but they just move on and don't try to learn from it. Right. They don't try to get the lesson from it. Right. And they don't see the gold mine that's ahead, because they just either one, they just stay traumatized and they never moved on from it, or they just say, you know what, it was a bad move and that's it. And there's no learning or growth.
And that's why I said before in one of my keys, forgive yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
The Bruce keys.
Forgive
gotta have the Bruce
yourself.
keys,
You know,
yeah.
you made bad decision, bad choice. You know what? Learn from it, forgive yourself. And so because the fact that weight is just lifted off of your shoulders and you're not walking around sad and mad and the whole, and then that just leads to another bad decision, you know. So just, okay, well, all right, that's done, it's over. Forgive yourself, and then you're able to move on.
And that's such an important thing, because sometimes I even call him and I just go sit with Bruce and we just talk, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we get, like, especially our type of personality, the entrepreneurs are we want to, like, control everything, right? We are like, oh my God, I have to do step 1, and then I'm going to do step 2, and then I'm going to step 3 it. You know, we're just like so, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember in our training, one thing Bruce always taught me, so he would put these like obstacle courses, right? And it was exactly like step 1, step 2, step 3. So in my head, I would be like, okay, step 1, step 2. And then Bruce would be like, stop thinking about the steps,
Yes.
right? Just think about the end, where you need to land, like right down there. And that's such a profound thing, because sometimes not only you have to forgive yourself, but you have to let go,
Yes.
right? If you let go, there is freedom in letting go.
Yeah.
And that is so, so important, because you don't know what doors can open for you. And the more you try to hold on so tight to things, the less those doors open, because you're preventing them from opening.
Yeah. You're creating a prison for yourself.
Right,
Without even knowing.
right. It's just,
Wow.
just let go sometimes and forget about the steps. Just show up, do what you know you're supposed to do, and just, you'll feel so much better.
Exactly. So, shifting gears, one thing that my viewers always ask me is branding, right? I always tell business owners, no matter which industry you're in, you have to brand yourself. It is the way how you speak to your consumers, your patients, your clients, and it has to be consistent. Bruce, you've done a really good job of really branding yourself. I mean, people see you as this, you know, this amazing trainer, but you are also sometimes not a man of many words, but it's hard to get on your schedule. It's hard to get on your schedule. You're booked out, and everyone seeks you out. So obviously you've done a really good job of branding yourself. What would you say are your other Bruce keys, your keys for branding?
For branding, you know, I think excellence comes to mind when I think about branding, and also think about being true to yourself. You know, whatever that is, you know, you can't get caught up in the flash and the lights, or what someone else is doing.
Yeah.
You always have to be true to yourself and do that in an excellent form. So and my thing is, you know, my coach always taught me, you know, the lights are always on. You know, even though you play on Friday night or whatever the case may be, but the lights are always on. The lights are on when you're, you know, when you're at home. The lights are on when you're at practice. The lights are on, you know, when you're walking down the street. So understand that the lights are always. So what I'm saying is, be on it every single time. Every single time you step out of the house, be on it. You know, and so when that occurs, I think that's where you'll just land in excellence. You know, and then that, I guess, the word of mouth or your branding just will continue to grow, because people want honesty and they want good value, you know. And so in order for that to happen, you really, really, really have to be true to yourself. Very, very important.
I love that. So like, again, authenticity,
Yes,
being
absolutely.
true to yourself. I love that. Mona, what about you?
Yeah, three things: authenticity, relatability, and community. You know,
Right off the tongue.
She's,
Easy.
I mean, look, you're talking to the queen of that. I'm like, so you knew you was get that right on
I
off
mean,
the jump.
it's really true. Why does TikTok do so well? Because people love to see behind the curtain of people's lives. We all share the same struggles. We all have the same insecurities. We all have lived, similar lives. But we're so afraid to show it because we're
Yeah.
afraid to be judged, right? But
Yes.
the moment you do show it, people can relate to it, and they love to see you without your makeup. They love to see you wake up in the morning, see what you look like, right? They love to see the dirty kitchen and how you eat. But we've just, unfortunately, social media has taught us that everything has to look perfect, and
Yeah.
it's so fake, right? And fake doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Real sells.
Yes.
So yes, authenticity through your branding, finding out what are people's needs, what is their want, and giving them exactly that, and building a community. I think community building is really, really, really important.
Yeah.
Whether you put yourself in that niche, whatever your niche is, whether it's, Bruce's sports and workout and gym, and yours is law and mine is production, we all have our own communities. So getting involved in your community and knocking on doors and relating to people and seeing what their needs are and giving your community what they're hungry for, and recognizing that you remember the old school, like our grandparents, they used to go door to door and knock on the door and sell like whatever, I don't know, like brochures, hand out brochures. That's real grassroots, method that still, we're in a digital world, but it's still the same thing. You still need to get on the street.
Yeah.
You still need to get to know the people, and who you're selling to.
Exactly.
And I think when you do that and you're yourself and you're real and you're not afraid of being judged, you can sell people anything.
That's so true. I saw a really good quote the other day that money is useless without people. You need people for money. You need people to enjoy any fruits of your labor. But at the end of the day, they're two separate things, right? Money and people. You can't have one without the other, because if you are by yourself with $1 billion, you can have all these things that you're doing, but you truly won't get to enjoy it without people, and you won't enjoy it without your own community, whether it's a family, whether it's a circle of friends. So, I mean, that's really, 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 really good point. All right. So what do you think are common mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make today? Or like, just give me one major mistake that you see happen.
Coach,
Go for it.
Coach, you.
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Yeah.
They don't have enough patience, man. They just give up too soon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they don't have enough patience. People want everything like right now, even down to, and I sometimes even catch myself in that because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm, building my presence in Web3, and I just, again, I even sometimes find myself going, okay, I'm going to, hit on every door and I'm going to talk to everybody. And then you don't get a response and you just like get depressed. You're like, oh my God, nobody's responding. I'm doing everything I can. What am I doing wrong? Why is this not working?
Yeah.
And then my producer always reminds me, she's like, Mona, you've only been doing this for 10 months. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, that's right. I've only been doing this. Feels like 10 years,
Yeah.
really. But I think it's just we want instant gratification.
It's not gratification.
And it really, you have to think like, honestly, like 10 years. Think 10 years from now. And then how would you adjust your pacing? And I think that's number one. I think people, like you were saying earlier, they can't stay in the moment long enough. Right?
Yeah.
They want something that reward. They want reward,
Reward
right?
is
And
right
there's
away.
no reward in entrepreneurship. Nobody's gonna do this. You're doing great, sweetie.
Yeah.
There's
Exactly.
It's not happening.
there's no reward. It's hard. It's boring. It's easy to give up.
Yeah.
Right. So I think first and foremost, staying in the moment and being willing to stay in the moment, not a month, not a year, 10 years. You got to stay in the moment for 10 years. You got to sacrifice for 10 years. You
Yeah.
got to focus for 10 years. You got to be disciplined for 10 years. Like, can you focus on one thing for 10 years? That's what it takes.
I know.
And that's where a lot of people give up.
Yeah. Bruce, what do you think?
You know, I definitely agree with what Mona said as well. But I just to add to that, I would say just a lot of them are not teachable. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
I think being teachable is so important to understand that, you know, you don't necessarily know it all. That you can continue to grow. If you aren't teachable, then your growing has stopped just right there. You hit your cap. But so when I say teachable, I'm not talking about. What I'm saying is, all right. Think about this example. You know what? How it's like in the house. You lose your keys, right? You can't find your keys, and you got a meeting you got to go to, and you're already late. What do? You're like you're searching all over the house. Is it in a couch or whatever case may be? You're throwing pillows, everything, and you're just disrupting everything until what? Till you find your keys.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about being teachable. What I'm saying is you continue to dig in every little crevice until you find that knowledge you're searching for. That's teachable.
Yeah.
So when you have that, I think when you have to have that mindset as well as being an entrepreneur, to really continue to dig and to dig and to dig until you find the knowledge and the information that you need for success.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
important
Yeah, that's a big
because people think they know it, including myself.
Yeah, same here.
Right. And I just want to add to that because I think this is so important as an entrepreneur. And, I always pray for this, a mentor, because people have done it. There are people out there that have done what you're trying to do for the most part.
Mona, I have to jump in on this, man. Like,
Yeah.
mentors, teachers, coaches, it's so undervalued. I still have mentors. For every level that I go to, there's a mentor. There's no way I would have been where I am today without good mentors, where you still have to be coachable, you still have to be teachable. Right? And people, I can't stress it enough. You don't know it all. No matter how good you are,
don't.
there's a million other people that have done it better, that have done it already. So you need these mentors. I remember one of my first training sessions with Bruce. Bruce said to me, "Look, man, everybody needs a coach. Like, I'm here training with you. I've been an athlete. I've been a personal trainer. But if I'm going to get to the best version of me, I still need a coach."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to be teachable at the same time.
Right.
You don't, and again, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
If you want to buy a house and you know nothing about buying a house, you're gonna go call a friend who is a realtor, and she's gonna be your mentor,
Yeah.
right? And I think that applies in everything that you do. It's very, very important to seek mentorship, and just, hey, if there's an opportunity to do it the easy way, that's your opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Just give me the formula, please.
Yeah, don't
so I
recreate
don't.
the wheel.
Right,
Do
exactly.
not recreate the wheel.
Right.
Wow. And I would say that the mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is they don't bet on themselves, right? They
Yeah.
may start the project or they think about starting the project, but they don't go out on the limb and say, look, I'm going to burn the boats. This is the only way. And I'm going to fall on my sword before this works out. And they just don't bet on themselves. Like, for me, I'm like, I'm not going to rely on this person. I'm not going to depend on this person. I'm going to do it because if you don't bet on yourself, why should people buy your product or listen to anything that you're saying or try to retain you? No, you have to bet on yourself because you should be your biggest cheerleader, and people completely underestimate just having that confidence and just going for it. You have your toolkit, right?
Right. And
you have your purpose. Go for it.
And I just want to say, and I don't, this is not a disrespect to anyone, but the truth is not everyone is made for that.
That's true.
Right? Not everyone is made to be an entrepreneur, and that's okay. But because being an entrepreneur, I'll say it. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you this too. I can never walk into a 9-to-5 job ever again.
I know.
I work. I mean, Bruce even knows, like, he does the same thing. We talk about it. I'm like, what time did you wake up? 3? How late did you work?
Yeah.
9 p.m. and then went straight to bed.
Yeah.
We're working around the clock.
Either
We're just
mentally or physically.
mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no 8-hour shift here. We're working around the clock. We're on such a tight structured of what we eat, what we do, how long we work. So you would be like, oh my God, it would be easier to just go get a job and work 8 hours and clock out. For some reason, we're addicted to this, and we're willing to do this than to clock in anywhere else. Let's just put it that way. It's a sickness a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. But it's not. Honestly, it's not made for everybody. Not everybody's.
It's not. And I mean, nothing is wrong with a 9-to-5.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I mean, that's
not.
success in itself, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, you have to be that beast and not just talk about being that beast.
Yeah.
And just listen to Beast podcasts and read Beast books. You have to show up and be a beast. Yeah. Everybody wants to be a beast until it comes time to pay your staff or to pay the lease for your office or your space. All right, so last question, bonus question. What's your why? Who wants to take it first?
Bruce.
My why. Man. Wow. You know what? My why is that...
Ladies and gentlemen,